The Prime Minister has been warned to expect China's President Xi Jinping to be assertive when the pair meet in Beijing tonight.
That assessment came from his Foreign Minister, Mahuta, as she was denying reports she was harangued by her Chinese counterpart in March. Our political editor, Jenna Lynch, is in China.
On goes the apron and out comes Chef Chippy in China. Seasoning the sizzling seared beef, the barbecue and appetiser course for Small Talk Central on a big global scale. Hipkins stopping at a World Economic Forum meeting dubbed Summer Davos, the annual meeting of the new champions. Meeting with the main man, founder Klaus Schwab.
I hope you had a good beginning.
Joining a panel on the state of the world.
We do have growing inflation. We also have growing geopolitical uncertainty.
We would like to see a world that continues to be open and outward looking.
And squeezing in a side meeting with the Vietnamese Prime Minister. All in preparation for today's main course, small talk turned big talk, the pinnacle. Hipkins meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, taking place as the government back home hoses down Aussie reports of our Foreign Minister's tense meeting with her Chinese counterpart in March, described as an hour-long haranguing.
I would say that China is very assertive in the way that it conveys its interests.
I've read the story and I'm not sure that that's the interpretation that should be entirely put on it. I'm sure that there was an exchange and it would have been vigorous both ways.
All eyes now on whether Hipkins will get a dressing down of his own.
I think it will be a robust discussion, but that's the nature of a mature relationship. Is we don't have to recoil from saying the things that need to be said because they're important in terms of New Zealand's interests.
Important things like the war in Ukraine and ongoing disputes over the South China Seas, but the goal was secure a meeting with President Xi.
So you weren't offended in that conversation?
Look, at the end of the day, we were able to achieve an invitation for our Prime Minister to visit.
The golden invitation for little New Zealand to bring everything it's got to China. The visit so crucial, Mahuta postponed a meeting with our neighbours and friends Australia scheduled for this week. She won't explicitly say it was moved so as not to upset Beijing.
Oh, look, there are a range of things that we take into account, sequencing our meetings, making sure that we're able to have fully the conversation that needs to be had. The main thing with Australia is that they are close partners. We want to have a full conversation. The meeting was rescheduled, the meeting was postponed due to scheduling issues.
Removing every risk for Hipkins to have a clean run with Xi.
Well, Jenna's with us now. Kia ora, Jenna. So how ready is Chris Hipkins for this meeting?
Everything has been cleared for Chris Hipkins, but this is his greatest foreign policy challenge yet. To date, he's played close to home turf, the Aussies, the Pacific, countries which largely have the same values as us. This is the big time, a country which doesn't hold such similar views, but we are so economically reliant on. Hipkins has to embrace the challenging balancing act of taking a stand on the issues that Western countries raise with China, the war in Ukraine, the South China Seas, human rights issues, but also keeping China on side enough to open doors for Kiwi businesses here. The increased tension since New Zealand's last visit have changed that challenging balancing act from walking a tightrope to unicycling on one. And Jacinda Ardern, this is where she really shone on the world stage, whereas Chris Hipkins, self-admittedly, foreign policy is not his strong suit. He's not yet found his groove. He's a pretty straight-talking guy, but that's not how diplomacy works, and he's yet to find the line of how much he can say. So at the moment seems to be reverting to these sanitised MFAT statements where Jacinda Ardern may have been more keen to stray a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how much detail, how much insight Chris Hipkins gives after that Xi meeting, due to take place at 8:40 New Zealand time tonight.
Political editor Jenna Lynch live from Beijing. Tēnā koe.